role that's like got some highs and lows in there. So, I mean, the first thing I want to find out is how did you decide to craft that balance between this revenge and love? Because in that story, I could see moments of that in your face. So, talk to me a little bit about that process for you as an actor getting into this.
Yeah, thank you. I love how you kind of put that right at the top. That's kind of highs and lows, you know. That's really what you look for, at least what I look for when I crack open a script, or exactly that. Like where are his highs, where are his lows? Because it really, helps you create that dynamic journey that the character's on in the story. And Robert, yeah, Robert's got a lot of them in here, and it's mostly, I think, a story of loss for him. A loss and a fight to regain, regain or reinvent or something, right? And so for me, it always starts there. Like it sounds kind of weird in a movie like this where you're playing somebody that everybody on the outside goes, "Oh, he's the bad guy, he's the villain." I always start by asking this question: Where's the love in the scene? And for me, that's why I loved this script. Actually, this script, though it's definitely action packed, and we can get caught up in all that stuff. What I love about it is at the heart of it is a relationship between brothers, a relationship between man and woman, a relationship between the child, right, and a grown up, and in each of those instances, there's either love lost, love desired, love earned, love betrayed, right? And so each scene, was something to do with that for me, and I think helped me really approach each with hot pursuit. You know what I mean? With a lot of
Yeah.
energy.
And I love the build up too, because there are moments when you're not quite sure what what he's thinking. But
Mhm.
then there's a moment when you think, ah, you get it. And then there's another moment and you think, oh, wait, no, that's not what I thought he was thinking.
Right?
So it was really like blowing me away. And I love the fact that you brought to that role, you know, the the violence is there, of course, and the revenge is there, but there's also that underneath layer, which I want to talk to you about that sense of being in that world, of getting in that world of the Western world, and then violence that happens at that time period, right? How do you wrap that around the modern sensibility, right? And still bring all that to the screen? You know what I'm trying to say? Does that make
Yeah, I
sense?
think I do. Yeah, I think I do. Sort of. Yeah, and I guess I would say this one. I think it's one reason why a lot of folks, and why maybe it's making a little bit of a comeback. The Western is like it's close enough to us to where we can reach to it. 1907 is not that far away, and so we can kind of reach to it. We can kind of relate to it. Maybe even have a person or two in our life, or who recently passed or something like that that actually was there. So it's close to us, but it is definitely a time. It's called the Wild West for a reason. There were spaces and places where there wasn't much rule of law. There wasn't a lot of ability to, back up any, rules and regulations and, protocol and all that stuff that keeps us nice and safe and sane now. Two-lane highways and stuff did not exist with a yellow line down the middle. It's like, if you want to cross the line, right? Who's going to stop you? So the Wild West, I think, presents this great opportunity to explore our humanity without the guardrails, And I think that's one thing that's really appealing about it for us as audience members is, we feel all the same things today in 2025. We feel our animal instincts rise up, our anger, our rage, our need, that presses us through life. But we've got just a lot more guardrails on us, especially now. We've got cameras on us all the time. People are watching. People know where we're at. Back then there was a lot more freedom to behave however you felt you needed to behave, right? And you might even get away with it. And so it's fun as an actor. It's a blast because it gives you a lot more permission to go places you certainly wouldn't go now in modern day. And when throw on top of it high stakes situation driven by love, like we talked about, now you got some good drama. You got some good drama, some good action. Yeah.
And not to give away the spoiler alerts, of course, I don't want to, but there's that moment when you're like saying, did you not know? Did you not know? Why did she not tell you this? I mean, there was so much going on there with you, and I can see the pain and the shock and the betrayal. So like there were betrayals on all sides in your character's journey,
Yeah.
right?
Yes, yes. I mean, you bring that scene up. I have to tell you, it takes me right back there. I like that really, and that's why this job, this gig was, I don't want to say easy. It wasn't easy, but it was clear. It was clear, and that's a gift that was given to me by this writer director. You know, Brian wrote a hell of a script, you know, in my opinion, because I didn't have to invent so much. It was like there on the page for me. He gave me a lot of evidence, right, to go on when it comes to the betrayal, like you're saying, the reasons my character did what he did, you know, and it's pretty easy as an actor if you understand you've been abandoned multiple times in your life probably, and you can build that back into a backstory of your own, which I certainly did. You start adding that up over time, and you know, literally, you know, at the beginning of this movie, spoiler alert, you know, you get left for dead. That's a pretty fierce abandonment right there. And then not only left for dead, but left to also take care of everything. Right. And so that's what really fueled that, you know, the kind of build up toward the end there was just all that. And by the way, all throughout the movie, I'm trying to give him an out. I'm trying. He's not, god dang, taking my, you know, choices. And so then, you know, I'm left with just about nothing at the end. And it's to me, it's, you know, pretty heartbreaking, actually.
It is. It's heartbreaking, but at the same time, I think it just sheds a light on society's mindset when it comes to family and choices we make and all the different things. And I was watching, thinking to myself, "Oh God, if there was a therapist back then, they'd have a field day with your character." To be like,
Yes, absolutely.
you
He
know,
needed a therapist.
you really did. So you're going to so many places. How are you decompressing that? When you finish your scene, what are the things that you do as an actor to just say, oh, let me get back to myself? What do you
Mm.
do in that process?
Yeah, what a great question. That's an awesome question. Yeah, I teach a lot of acting actually myself too, and this is something that, you know, I talk to students about a lot because, you know, a lot of people I think sort of misrepresent the art of acting because, you know, and for good reason. It's like if you're sitting outside of it, it looks like people sort of pull a character down onto themselves when, at least from my experience, the more believable actors are the ones who sort of unearth something from inside, right? It's like you're letting a, you know, jack in the box out. And it's kind of like we're talking about with Westerns. I think acting in general is this space, the set, the stage is this space where you're not only given permission, but you're actually required to give air to your sort of uglier side, your more ferocious side, your more vulnerable side, all of your sexier side, whatever it is, right? And then there comes a time after you've, you know, they yell cut where you got to kind of put that to bed, or else you get arrested right out of the world. You know, so for me, you know, I've been doing this a long time, and I've got some technique wrapped around this, you know, and you know, I've got some little rituals and things I go through, nothing too crazy or weird, but you know, some ways of getting myself back centered, celebrating what just happened, letting it be in space, and sort of like also letting it go. And then getting back to taking care of
Right,
the you know, my instrument and stuff. So
right.
for me, it was a lot of walking around town, it's a lot of breathing, a lot of eating right, these sorts of
Yeah,
things to kind of get
right.
myself even so I could get real uneven when they called action.
Wonderful. Well, I wish I had so much more time to talk to you. I have tons more questions, but we're out of time. But before I leave really quickly, if you could describe your character in 3 words, how would you describe him?
Ferocious, vulnerable, and unexpectedly sweet.
Well, thank you so much, Jeremy, for chatting with me. It was a pleasure to chat with you. And like I said, I really love what you did in this particular project. And I love Westerns. And yeah, it took me on a ride. So thank you again.
Awesome.
Have
Thank
a
you so
blessed
much.
day. Thanks so much.
Take
Bye.
care.
Bye.